Hey, what's up, everybody? It's me, Danae, and I'm here with a message for you. What's going on, beautiful people? Happy Sunday. Today is April 6th, 2025. I hope you are doing well. Let me just adjust this a little bit. I don't know, it feels kind of off. Sorry. Hope you're doing well. I guess it's fine. On this fine Sunday, I felt like popping in today and just to see what the vibes are. Maybe it'll give me a good start for the week, and I'll be able to get in here a few more times than what I have been lately. But I hope you've had a great weekend. Hope you've been enjoying your leisure, or maybe you've been working, whatever the case may be. I hope it's been a good one. It's been very rainy where I am, so it's definitely been quite inviting to chill, to stay indoors, to relax, which I did very much so yesterday. Caught up on a lot of rest. Today there were some flashes of sunshine, but for the most part it was pretty overcast today as well. I guess we're really, Mother Nature is really cashing in on those April showers. So anyway, I hope that you're rested wherever you are and ready for the week. And I pray that it's a good one for all of us. A very powerful one is what I'm definitely calling in for myself. Productive, prosperous, in all the right ways. All right. So let's see what we got here today. Oh, come on. Really? Oh, man. Let's see. We got the Nine of Swords. I'm pretty sure this is the Queen of Wands. Yeah, I saw the sunflower up top peeking out. And then I'm seeing this here, this Three of Pentacles. Interesting. Nothing else really jumping out at me. So we got the Nine of Swords first. So somebody's in despair and anguish, anxiety. I feel like it's somebody that feels like they're missing out, or they feel left out. Uh-oh. I see the Lovers peeking out here at the bottom. Ooh. Speaking of being left out, I wonder if... interesting here. Okay. All right. So we got somebody that's definitely stressed out, sleepless nights, having anxiety about what the future holds, some type of maybe paranoia, I want to say about the past, but with the Nine of Swords, it's usually more so about, well, it could definitely be the past and the future. That's what it really is, actually. It's a suspension between those two, but not in the present tense. It's like somebody may be thinking about what they no longer have control over, or what what's done is done type of energy, but also anxious about the outcome of whatever the anxiety may be, or whatever. It's a stress about the past and an anxiety about the future is the Nine of Swords. No presence, really. Definitely no positive presence. And so then we got the Three of, because otherwise you would be able to rest, in this present moment. You would be able to rest in the now, in the well-being, being content with whatever has been, and allowing it to be so. But also having some sense of hopefulness, or at least a surrender to whatever shall be, even if it feels like something that you can't control. Yeah, there's some lack of control here that somebody might be agonizing about. Three of Pentacles it could be about a job. It could be about some type of collaborative arrangement, a group of people that someone either feels left out of, may even feel stuck within, or feel beholden to in some way that doesn't feel favorable. It's like having a job where the environment is toxic, perhaps. So even when you're off the job, all you do is agonize about what went wrong during the day, or what went wrong throughout the day, or what you did wrong, how you may have misstepped or whatever, and also being anxious about what the next day holds. Like you can't even rest up, have a good night's rest, because you can't let the day go that you're in for stress, and you have no idea what you're going to, oh no, hell no. You have no idea what you're going to face when you go back in. Hell, maybe somebody could be anticipating getting fired for poor performance. This could be like some type of performance review that someone, maybe they had a performance review, and maybe there's, I don't know, this is all just coming out, I don't know, because Three of Pentacles definitely gives job. It can also kind of give school, just an environment where there's community. But for whatever reason, this Nine of Swords person doesn't feel safe within this environment, or there's a lack of security here. So whether it's in regards to their own performance within this community, or lack thereof, or whatever, but they feel like their fate rests in the hands of something or someone else. And it could even be like a finance or a job where like commission is heavily weighted. You know, those types of jobs where if you don't maintain your quota, whatever that is, whether it's sales or commissions, or, you know, whatever the bottom line is, you could really either lose your job or lose some type of benefits. Not a secure working environment, or not a job or a position that yields a high level of security overall. Okay. And then we got the Queen of Wands, who's looking over at the Lovers. I don't know what we're talking about here for sure, but if I liken it to this original idea of it being about jobs, or being like a fit for a position, the Queen of Wands looking at the Lovers is someone that has found their niche, sort of, you know, or has found their sweet spot of creativity, whether it actually is in a job or some position or partnership. But the Queen of Wands being extremely creative, it's like looking at the Lovers, it's like finding the perfect position for you to really exercise your highest creativity here. where your gifts, your talents, your ideas, your ambition is not just welcomed, and celebrated, but it's nurtured for you to grow. Yeah, stark difference here. But of course, this could be in regards to business. It could be, like I said, just a community of folks. It could be, it could be professional, platonic, romantic, whatever it is. It's a stark difference here between someone that, for all intents and purposes, I'm gathering, wants to make this work or wants to fit in, to be in any type of anguish of their not being a fit. That means that somebody desperately, they're pushing for an outcome that is not fluid, whether this is a group of friends, an association, a business arrangement, a job, a school, a society, whatever it is. It's like the anguish of someone that can't rest at night for what has been and what might be is a force, whereas the Queen of Wands is like a sweet spot, like a perfect, I don't know, like I know I said sweet spot already, but there's just like a perfect, I don't know. It really is like a perfect fit, where that, not that this has to be limited to two people, but it's like, in comparison, there's a perfect balance here where, like let's say in terms of position where you can see yourself growing, advancing, flourishing. You don't have to really, like a position that's almost made for you. Like you don't really have to try to make yourself fit the mold or to force even your own happiness to or sacrifice, let's even say, some aspect of your happiness, your creativity, your confidence. Like there's no real sacrifice here that I'm sensing. It's just like seeing the potential for yourself in a position that is open, that is available, and that you can be an inspiration in, and that also can be, well, that you have an aspiration for, let's start there, and that you can also be an inspiration in, if that makes sense. And of course, it could absolutely be a relationship. The Three of Pentacles here could be somebody agonizing over a third-party situation where they would want to be the perfect fit in a one-to-one dynamic, but there's always something throwing off the balance. It could be like trying to force a relationship to work in your favor and virtually like killing yourself mentally, if nothing else, to have it be so. When it's like it just doesn't work. It doesn't fit, no matter how many times you try to metamorphosize yourself, into some other entity or organism, or even to, with the swords, like try to almost psych yourself into all the reasons why this needs to work or should work, or how it can work. There's still there's an agony here, and it's still imbalanced with the Three of Pentacles, because someone is still elevated in some way, shape, or form above this partnership. My son just said, damn. Confirmation in some way, shape, or form. Like, and what I was actually contemplating about when I was thinking about that is like an example of somebody just always up in the mix of your relationship. Like it can never just be you and your partner. It's always somebody kind of like imposing their authority or their opinion or their influence, like interjecting their influence, and some like things could be going perfectly fine, and then, or maybe they never are, you know, that could be part of the agony. But even if they are, there's always some energy that inserts itself to just throw everything off balance, where perhaps in a perfect world, if the partnership were to be left to the two that actually are, you know, in the arrangement, whatever this is, then it might be okay. It, back to the business part, it could be like a micromanaging boss that, opposite of this energy here, doesn't really foster a creative working environment where people are kind of allowed to flex their skills, you know, and their gifts and talents in a way that is inspiring. Or inspiring is not really the word that I want to use, like empowering, I guess I should say. It's a stringent environment where it's like, if you don't do it this way, then it can't be done. Or again, back to the relationship vibe, it could be like a dad or I don't know, like a friend that's always up in the mix. You just want to be alone with your significant other, but there's always some tag along, a sister, a brother, a cousin, a friend, like somebody's always in the mix. I don't know, but I'm staying too long on that. I'm just trying to build the comparisons between these two energies, because there's something very dark here, even by the cards themselves, that are more dark than anything. And of course, the Queen of Wands, the Lovers, of course, are pretty high vibes in the upright for the most part. So whatever we're talking about here, where it's an illustration of two different experiences. Let's leave it at that, right? All right, so let's put all these back and start over. I keep hearing 50 Cent in my head. If I can't do it, homie, it can't be done. And I'ma let the champagne bottle pop. I'ma take it to the top. What's that song? I don't know what the name of that song is. Let me see, because there might be a message in it. Hold on, I got my other phone in here. 50 Cent. If I can. Yeah. Oh, it's just called If I Can't. If I Can't. Is that on my favorite album? Yeah, I think it is. For sure, I'ma make it hot, baby. I don't know what that was about, but I felt like I needed to know. I don't know. I don't think that's my favorite album. Hold on. This is probably irrelevant. Maybe it is. Yeah, it is. The first one. But, yeah. If I can't do it, homie, it can't be done. So I don't know what that's supposed to mean. Like, there's some, well, like I said, given with the, if we're talking about positions or just skills or whatever, creativity, ambition, power, drive, confidence, Queen of Wands energy, looking toward the Lover's card. It's like being the ideal candidate, or maybe the supreme candidate, and some like the best man for the job in a sense. But not just, I mean, because what does it matter to have a supreme or maybe even superior skill if there's no outlet for it, and that's the difference of those disparities between the first set and the second. It's like having so much potential and having nowhere for it to be nurtured, nowhere for it to be asserted, and even worse, nowhere where it's welcomed. If anything is suppressed, is that first set. And then, I mean, and that's torturous, right? But then being in a position where you have hella skills and you find yourself in the perfect position to actually exercise them, like the most ideal circumstances, positive, healthy circumstances, to use them for the greatest good. And there are some that are ordained to operate in certain frequencies that no one else can. And there is an emergence of those forces, from my perspective, there's an emergence of those forces that do things that are almost unique to them, or at least that do them in a way that nobody else does. So there's one thing to have that ordination, that anointing in a sense, and it just be, idle or nowhere for it to go. There's another to have a place to actually grow that that power. And it's downright sad to perhaps maybe have a great potential and have no way to exercise it, or maybe even worse, to not have any power at all, or at least to be depleted mentally, in such a way where you can't really access that that energy within yourself. And then on top of that, there's no place that's really kind of drawing it out of you. So I don't know what we're talking about here, but here's a Magician card, so that's interesting. And the title, that album, the song that album is from, you probably know, but Get Rich or Die Trying is that song, where that song comes from. So some people may have chosen the get rich route, which caused for, here it is, which ultimately caused it imposed a great sacrifice on their lives, where they found themselves in environments that were not nurturing, not productive, in some ways not even profitable, because the Three of Pentacles is not that much. It's only the three. Split three ways potentially, so some people sacrificed a great deal of their power and creativity just to be in rooms or a part of associations that were affluent, is what I'm getting. Like I was saying, the Nine of Swords, somebody agonizing to be a part of that in crowd, and that Three of Pentacles, where they're not even happy to be there. They're not happy when they're there. They're not happy when they leave. It's like they're not happy when it's time to go back. It's just constant agony either way, but somehow they feel like they need to be a part of it because it's validating in some way, shape, or form. So we know, there's so many things that sound like that in our society, particularly when we're talking about like fame and fortune, get rich or die trying. And for some, it was, you know, more important to be in the in crowd, or at least looking like you're on the road to the getting rich and to the fame and fortune, than it was to be on the outside, as maybe perhaps the Queen of Wands in this sense may have been on the outside, as she is at first, you know, on the outside looking into the Lover's card, but it's really, and even on the outside of the Three of Pentacles, but standing in a posture of pure creativity and confidence, waiting almost for the perfect opportunity to align with something that matches up. You know, like that holds the space for those that were secure standing in their own, like on their own, you know, that didn't need the validation from any crew or any particular society or association, or even from their peers, to feel affirmed. What's more affirming and more affirming and more I don't know, I guess important, is to actually find yourself in the best possible space that is reflective of all that you embody. And in this case, the highest, purest form of creativity with the Queen of Wands. You know, that's where the security lies. That's where the confidence lies. Maybe even withholding self or withholding creativity in a sense until that ideal opportunity presents itself. And then if it doesn't, you know, it as it may not, be still being willing to stand alone. Those are those two energies. Okay, got it. Okay. And there's creativity with the Magician showing itself in both of those, but the magnitude, the quality of that creativity is the question. You know, are you manifesting a life that, you know, on the outside looking in seems like the move, or, you know, because the Nine of Swords energy is like I said, the one that desperately wants something to fit, or wants themselves to fit within something, but for who and for what, really, you know? So is it for appearances? Is it, again, it's self-validating or gratifying or immediate gratification in some way, like to feel like you're doing something because you're a part of this thing or these people or this place, you know? So it's kind of like, what's it all for? You have the power, sure, to create whatever you want, but what's the quality of it literally at the end of the day? Like when you rest your head at night and when you wake up in the morning, what is it really and truly worth? You know, I feel like a lot of people are coming to terms with that question right now and answering it honestly. Their life experience, as a matter of fact, is answering it for them. Oh, wow. Two of Pentacles. I think I'm going to just go straight across today because I've been kind of chit-chatting a lot. What's going on? Or I'll just take another one. What's this balancing act with the Two of Pentacles? The Two. Ooh, okay. Two balancing the 10. So maybe this is that struggle for the American dream, quote unquote, you know, theoretically speaking. But this abundance of wealth that, you know, that is the ideal, you know, that feeling of having more than enough. But you know what I'm picking up? It's like, first of all, the Two of Pentacles is not ideally manifested through the Ten of Pentacles, let me say, is not ideally manifested through the Two of Pentacles per se. Not in the vibration that I'm feeling right now. Of course, you could go from rags to riches, or go from struggling or juggling finances and energy and things of that sort to having a windfall. But in the way that I'm speaking of it, it feels more like someone that is either struggling to advance to this Ten of Pentacles or struggling to maintain it. Let me see. Let me get one more. Hold on. Let me get one more. I said I was going to go straight, but oh, with the Ten of Cups. Hold on. Definitely American dream with these two here. But see, here it is. That's why I'm feeling like this is the desperate desire of that lower frequency with the Two of Pentacles. That's representing somebody that, in this case, has a lower frequency of energy to actually invest in these ideals. Back to that Nine of Swords. It's like what they're willing to gamble in order to have this so-called ideal dream or, existence here, experience, doesn't really balance. It doesn't level out to be these energies in a pure sense, like in the fullness of those frequencies. It's like somebody that thinks that their sacrifice to be in the in crowd or to chase fame and fortune, to put themselves in positions where their mental, maybe even physical, emotional, spiritual, like their well-being is not great. With that Nine of Swords, that's not somebody that's in a great state of wellness, but they're willing to make that sacrifice in order to have this ideal, or at least the appearance thereof. But most times, even when you acquire that ideal, it's not sustainable, which is why people get caught in the rut of having to do, wake up and do the things that they don't even really want to do in order to sustain this appearance or, facade in this case. Or even if it is actual, like somebody does have a lot of money and does maybe have this nuclear family of a life, there's something that is void about it or unfulfilling, where even what it looks like on the surface is not enough to truly gratify the man for all that they're having to expend of themselves just to have it. You know what I mean? Like, that's where I'm at with it. Because I'm like, Two of Pentacles to the 10 to the even with the 10 and the 10, it still just feels like something off, like literally off balance there, off key. It's literally like somebody, like I said, that may have a fat ass bank account or may have built themselves a nice little enterprise, a little legacy. They might have 2 kids and a dog, you know what I mean? And, got a nice little college fund tucked away. Little trophy wife to show off at parties and such. Or social media. It could even be something like that, where it all looks picture perfect. But at the core of it, somebody literally could be just, I'm trying to find another word for, like, agonizing over their life. And not only over the things that they've sacrificed or the choices that they've made to finally acquire all of this stuff, but over the fact that they have to keep doing it to keep it. And then on top of that, the fact that it's not even fulfilling. Two of Pentacles is not even given what it's supposed to give for all that they're given for it. You know, that's a sad existence to me, but I'm gonna leave that there. Let's move on. Well, let me get one more, and maybe that'll, where we at, 35? I might only be able to do 2 little piles because I don't want to make this long. I'm hungry, but let me get one more energy that speaks to me about this, because it's kind of, you know, let me see. Yeah, 7 of Pentacles. It's like somebody taking inventory over all that they have sown and what they've yielded from that investment, or from that, from their labor, and considering the long term, like, is this my life forever? Like, is this the long run for me? You know, like, this is not good vibes. Maybe I just do 2. Maybe I just do 2. It's literally like somebody getting everything that they wanted and it having no savor, no flavor. They don't even want it anymore. They actually don't even know why they ever wanted it. That's what this energy is giving. That's why I was saying it's like somebody suspended in the past and the future. It's like, what was I even thinking? And what do I do? Like, is this it? You know what I mean? How do I get out of this? How do I get out of this commitment or out of this rut? But then here's the gotcha again. It's like somebody feels stuck to whatever it is that they've committed or devoted themselves to get here. It's like, damn, can't live with it, can't live without it type of energy. You know, it's like they don't really want to be within whatever dynamic this is, but they also can't see themselves outside of it either, or they don't see much promise outside. Like, oh, good Lord. No, ma'am, no, sir. No, thank you. No, thank you. It's definitely giving relational vibes when I'm putting it like this now. But it could even be like, you know, how a lot of times I said something about social media, how sometimes couples get together and things are real profitable for the connection, you know, and there's a brand that has been created. There are sponsorships, there's a following, there's a fan base, there's business, there's enterprise that has been created on what is ultimately shaky ground with that 2 of Pentacles. But it's like to have to face the idea of leaving it all behind for some for a lack of guarantee and happiness, at least you know, this is all tangible, this is what you can see and touch and all that, but then for someone to face the idea of leaving it behind to pursue pure happiness, it may not even, it's not that simple. We know that for sure, but it may not even be an option for somebody. It's like, or they may even be so entangled that it literally feels like it's not an option, which it always is. There's always a choice, right? But that could be the 2 of Pentacles weighing of ideas for someone. It's like, on one hand, you gain your freedom. On the other hand, you may lose everything. You know, one hand, you gain some sanity or maybe reclaim your natural identity. But on the other hand, you lose everything that you worked for, everything that you thought you wanted, with no guarantee of how to rebuild or reclaim it or regain it, you know. So it's not an easy choice to make, but I mean, it is for me. It is for me, let me be clear. Like, I'm more on that Queen of Wands energy where I only want to be in the perfect fit. I don't want to make nothing fit. I don't want to be with someone because it looks good. We make a good couple. We look good together. We make money together. Like, no, do we make love? Lover's card. Do we literally make love together? And I don't mean in the sensual or sensational sense exclusively, however, also. But do we literally create something that is productive, that is prosperous between the two of us? If it ain't that, I mean, hell, I'll take the Two of Pentacles and take that, but it's virtually impossible, really, to have a lover's type of connection and it not lead to something of the Ten of Cups or the Ten of Pentacles authentically, except that it won't be as hard to maintain as something that is more or less fabricated. That's the disparity between those two energies. So now let's go over to the other one. Because somebody is regretting, maybe many people, as I said, are regretting the investments that they've made, particularly in partnerships. And I think Libra, I always say this, I always mix up Libra and Venus, but you know what I mean when I say this, when I'm talking about the planets versus the zodiac sign. But I think Venus is still in retro. I want to say till in a few days it goes back direct. But that's a lot of what, would be drudged up in that time. Consideration about partnerships in your life and also even how you make money or what is profitable and also what is beautiful, like all together, like what matters in your life, and bringing some balance to those scales where there may be grave imbalances. So that's about right. It's on time. Wow, we got the Ten of Swords. Well, that's the end of some type of struggle or sabotage here. Yep, the end of betrayal, the end of, as they say, and I hardly ever say this, but like everything is fine. You may have even gone through a great deal of trial and tribulation to get to a point where you can finally look around and observe, like, I'm okay. Everything is good. Whether you're coupled, whether you're single, dating, not really into that, not here for that right now, whether you're nurturing your own ideas, it's like a very certain sense of contentment, and here it is in the present. Not fixated on what happened or what occurred behind you, of which you can do nothing about now. Not obsessive over, well, I should say obsessive about the past and maybe fixated on the future. But literally just, well, let me keep going, but that's what I'm driving, because I'm more or less seeing this as this is those first two cards energy here. And this might pan out to ultimately be the second, but let's see. Because the crazy part is that the first pile got two of the best cards that you want to get in terms of the number cards, like the minors, the Ten of Cups, the Ten of Pentacles. So it's like literally showing how people really got what they were out here asking for, but it's just that they realized that it wasn't all it was cracked up. They're realizing at least that it wasn't all that it was cracked up to be. And maybe some people that have gotten the short end of the stick on account of their waiting, their conservation of energy, nurturing self, withholding, or holding back from the immediate gratification, in a sense, may not have always had the most favorable experiences, certainly not immediately gratifying with the Ten of Swords, but perhaps have experienced the worst of the process of maturation and evolution of creativity, in the sense, where it's been nurtured evolved for some ideal expression. That process isn't always pleasant, but it is a completion. You know, it does bring some things to an ending. Let me keep going though. Almost done here. We already at 45. Oh, no way! Wow. Interesting. Two endings here. The worst is behind. That's how I'm reading it. The worst has been overcome. The worst is behind those that have taken, I would say, like the road less traveled in some way, or that have taken the path of least resistance. Let me get another one. This is so wild. Oh, High Priestess. And that's confirming for me. There's something mysterious here, but something sacred as well. Yeah. And like I was saying, like the road less traveled. Something sanctifying about it here. Where it's not for the faint at heart. It wasn't, you know, at least for the faint at heart. It's a many are called, few are chosen type of energy, and not because there are favorites per se in the divine. It's like we all get the call in our own special way, but like I said, the disparity here is between those that do it the way that seems right, that, you know, by societal standards is right, to get the car, to get the job, to get the position, the power, the house, the money, the respect, you know what I mean? The money, power, respect type of energy. And then when you get it all, you're looking, you know, counting your coins like, is this it? You know what I mean? But there's something more sanctified here, that, you know, is a road less taken for a reason, because sometimes it does call for a different type of sacrifice. You know, it's the sacrifice of immediate gratification. It's the sacrifice of the easy road to some degree. It's the sacrifice of, what's the word? Conforming. Because definitely with the High Priestess, she's not the conformist. That's the one that's going to stand out, even if it's a bruise to the pride or bruise to the ego, or it's a blemish on their persona. You know, it's like not really. It's weighing the cost of perhaps your public persona or perception, or even being understood in general, and deciding that it matters more to you to have, how can I say this, to kind of like have the long-term rewards and results than, I don't think I'm saying, is that right? Really, it's not even about long term. Well, it is in a sense, like that's what it amounts to be. But again, it's like there is no guarantee, you know, there's nothing tangible to really, like for instance, just plainly put, when you're on a so-called like spiritual path, whatever that looks like, it doesn't have to be religious. As a matter of fact, with the high priestess, it probably isn't, you know. It's probably something that looks a little different than what is conventionally or traditionally acceptable, you know, or palatable. And when you're on that path, it could just even be to have a deeper understanding of yourself, you know. You're often met with a great deal of resistance. You're often met with a great deal of trials and tribulations, some of which are just par for the course and what your soul is calling for in that conditioning and in that process. And some of it is completely outside of yourself, like just kind of the jeers and sneers of those on the outside looking in that are positioned to object, you know, or oppose your path, you know, to even obstruct your path. And that happens systematically, that happens familially, that happens societally, it happens culturally, every which way you could possibly think, you know, some type of objection or obstruction could happen. It does, because this realm, the corruptible forces of this realm, the principalities, corrupted principalities, I got to keep correcting myself, the corrupted principalities of this realm don't want anybody to travel that unique path. You know, they don't want you on the road less traveled. You're safer to be on the road where everybody is going, because that's where the herd can be controlled. But the minute you step out and venture off into anything that looks different, you become a bit of a threat, which is all this that I'm saying is nothing like rocket science. Anybody listening to me knows that, but I guess it's just the validation here today. I'm gonna get another card, but that it wasn't for nothing, because the high priestess and all her glory is gratified by that very thing alone, by being able to stand in a light that is all her own, or his, just the energy that is incomparable to anyone or anything else. Once again, that Queen of Wands energy that stands alone but still finds a space to exist that is perfect for he or she. Thankfully, the lovers is both, because it means that, of course, if you fit into that feminine aspect, then there you go. But there's also the masculine expression as well, so nobody's left out. The high priestess is about like a supreme sacred expression of self. Again, that is just unique to anything and anyone, and that definitely goes through a process to fully express. But in the long run, from my perspective, hell, in the short run, I guess right now, from what I can experience at this time, it's the most it's the most gratifying choice that there is. You know, it's like I'd do the 10 of Swords and the 10 of Wands 100 times over if I had to get to a place of confidence and security and divine devotion that I feel now in my life, as opposed to having anything tangible, any semblance of affluence. No semblance of affluence, you know, is sufficient. If it means if it meant that I would have to sacrifice this experience in the present moment, you know, to be so connected to the most supreme expression of yourself and beyond, perhaps, you know, what price can really be put on that? Where you can see your resilience in real time and project your power from that perspective. No house, no car, no bank account. Now, it's all good now. Don't get me wrong. And I believe personally, like I said, it comes along with it. Like I was saying before, you can't really have a lover's energy and then with the magician following that and the Queen of Wands, those energies combined ultimately would yield a 10 of Cups, a 10 of Pentacles, whatever that looks like for the individual. But it doesn't always yield that the other way around, and it certainly isn't always sustainable or fulfilling the other way around. And that's the thing that's like the hurtful truth that some folks are coming to. Like, feeling like they did everything the right way from their perspective. Confirmation. Feeling like they did everything the right way, quote unquote. And still, wow, with the Two of Cups, my God. Wow. I don't even know what to say. An inflection of the Lovers, but even, I mean, the Lovers can be a bit more spiritual, you know, a bit more lofty of an expression of partnership. But I feel like this even brings it back down to earth, especially after saying the High Priest, you know, with the High Priestess being in the mix. Sometimes it's really hard to capture the essence of the High Priestess, even when I'm trying to convey it as the reader. You know, if you know, you know what I mean? But sometimes it feels so magnificent of a frequency that, and every time that it comes up, it gives off a different vibe. You know what I mean? Like, it's never meaning the same thing in any two readings for me personally, because it just depends on what's coming up. So to bring that energy back down to earth, which is what I'm sensing with the Two of Cups, is really about grounding what is like an ascended, perhaps even transcended partnership after it's been through all this processing. Person, you within this, or just you within self, you know what I mean? Because like I said, this could be about a partnership or it could just be about you. But it's like after all of the processing of the worst possible experiences, as far as you're concerned and your story, as far as your story goes, to, you know, a transcending beyond those limitations, and still it being grounded in the natural form, so that, like I was saying before, the sensationalism of it all is not missed. Like, this is Cups. Like, you still feel the vibration of this exalted experience, but in a very physical way, you know, and in a way that that, how can I say, like, it's not just an ideal, you know, it's an actual, it's a live experience. The Two of Cups even is like, you know, like a contract, a partnership. Often the word I use is a covenant. So it's literally, for me, about coming out of same more or less season of experience, you know, here, having been faced, as we all are, with a path to choose for self, and coming out of it feeling justified in your choices and feeling greatly rewarded, you know, and satisfied. That's what it is. The Two of Cups is feeling deeply satisfied with all that you've experienced in this present moment, to be grateful for it all. And that puts you in that position with the Queen of Cups, with the Queen of Wands, looking at the Lovers, and with the Magician having shown its face, to be able to project your creativity in any way that you really see fit, especially when it's gauged by the standards that you've ultimately cultivated throughout this processing. You know what I mean? But on this side, it's like having to re-establish standards on a new scale that may feel a bit foreign, you know, like strange to someone, because it's having to kind of like learn yourself, learn energy, and you know, your projection of it all over again, separate from what you thought was the ideal path. You know, that's why these two are, you know, really are at a great disparity, you know. So this one with this Two of Cups is having established, I feel like it's a trifecta here, a trinity in a sense, because it's having established a covenant with yourself and Supreme, whether that be Source as you see it, God, your higher self as we say, whatever the elevated expression of you or beyond you is, there's the covenant there, which is a new understanding and appreciation within that dynamic, establishing a new covenant with yourself within that dynamic, or, you know, in whatever reality you find you exist in this present moment, and being a prime, here it is, candidate to be in balanced, harmonious partnership and covenant, again, creative covenant with other people, places, and things, particularly one person specifically, if that's what you're in the market for, in a very healthy and highly vibrational way. The Lover's card. That's like, it's chef's kiss. You know, it's like no other contract could beat that out. And many probably have tried, you know, opportunities. It's like everybody's been tempted, you know, or fascinated even is a less abrasive word, I suppose, to do things differently than what you ultimately did. But here we are, you know, taking inventory of the fruits of our labor, and they speak for themselves. This is what it is. And it's funny because, like I said, it's like the best cards that you would want to get, the 10 of Cups and Pentacles, are over here where the way seems right. The 10 of Swords, the 10 of Wands are the last 10s you really want to see. But the outcome, oh man, the outcome is amazing. You know, so the sacrifice, the surrender has yielded precious rewards, if you see it that way. Wow, with the Star card. Oh man, I'm over an hour anyway. Dang, every time I think I'm going to wrap it up. Oh my gosh. Oh my God. Oh my goodness. This is, whew, the Star and the Temperance. That's literally heaven on earth, y'all. Heaven on earth expressed through you. I can't even go in on that because I'll probably be talking another 15 minutes. That's what it comes down to. And that is the will of the divine, actually, to have it be so, you know, which is why we are faced with these invitations to decondition ourselves from, you know, the status quo to the supreme being, you know, to be able to harness this frequency of I don't even know, like, of divinity, perhaps. Like for it to be expressed through our individualism, you know, our uniqueness. As I said before, that perfect fit. This is the expression of one's own divine assignment as it's been ordained from perhaps a supreme source, from a higher calling, from a higher ordinance, but very much so actualized in the material world, in the 3D. First of all, as the star, there's that, but also even the temperance is an expression of that. It is the materialization of spirit and matter, spirit into matter, heaven into earth. And that, as I've said before, the revelation of that reality is happening through human existence. We're the only creatures that can really exemplify it and express it, account for it, testify to it, that can observe it one to another. That's what this is. And I love how this is still here, because even with the star, I was saying before about chasing fame and fortune, it still lines up perfectly. But the disparity here between the Two of Pentacles and the Temperance, this is the real balance. This is divine harmony, being at one with self and supreme, and there being like those energies being completely fluid, almost interchangeable in one way, shape, or form. Definitely, what's the word? Like integrated. Oh my gosh, that was a perfect ending. I'm gonna leave it there. I want to say so much more, because the star and temperance, that's a big finish right there. But I suppose if you know, you really do know. And if you don't, you probably ain't supposed to, at least not right now. And perhaps you never will. I don't know, but it really is quite self-explanatory. A lot of big energy is moving about in this reality, and it's undeniable. And if you possess such a high frequency of energy, you can't deny yourself the righteous right to express it, without limitations, without fear, with no inhibitions. And those that observe it won't be able to deny what they see, or what they feel more than anything. Yeah, a lot of water here. So definitely that means like you can walk into a room and shift the atmosphere, and you probably already do, which is why I know if you get it, then I'm preaching to the choir, literally. But I guess the point is to know that this is ultimately what your hard work, dedication, and devotion has afforded you. So congratulations, and keep doing what you do, which seems to be the theme these days. All right, so thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And I'd be remiss to say that what also goes with that are obviously some really amazing partnerships, whether they be creatively, professional, platonic, romantic, probably all of the sort in some way, shape, or form. So remember to keep your heart open. The worst is behind you, maybe completely done, maybe to never resurface again, perhaps, Lord willing, God willing. And now in that healing process with the star card is really finding that balance with yourself in the earth to live in that truth. And I've spoken about that before, that the hardest thing is really coming into that new covenant of well-being with yourself, where that is the new normal, without waiting for any other interference or interruption to just completely uproot it all, unless of course you create it for yourself. But who's doing that? Not the Queen of Wands looking at the Lovers with magician power. And star and temperance potential. No way. and High Priestess essence. There's so much to look forward to. So keep your posture open to receive. All right. As always, until next time, I leave you with peace.